It's 2:17 in the morning. Emma isn't searching for answers. She's simply reaching over to silence her husband's vibrating phone. Then, a message appears on the screen. I can't wait until she's gone next week. At first, she assumes it's about an upcoming business trip. It isn't. Within 48 hours, Emma discovers something far worse than an affair. Her husband hasn't just been cheating. He's been living an entirely different life. This isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about how some people construct two completely separate realities and convince everyone around them that both are true. Emma and Nathan have been married for 12 years. A comfortable home, weekend barbecues, annual holidays, a dog, no children by choice. To everyone who knows them, they're the stable couple. Nathan works as an operations manager, long hours, occasional interstate travel, nothing unusual. At least, that's what everyone believes. Emma trusts him completely. Not because he constantly earns that trust, but because he's spent years becoming someone impossible to question. Every late meeting has an explanation. Every missing weekend comes with photographs. Every receipt makes sense. Every inconsistency arrives already wrapped inside a believable story. That's the true skill of a professional deceiver. Not creating perfect lies, but making every lie feel comfortably ordinary. Psychologists have long observed something fascinating. The most successful manipulators rarely rely on dramatic deception. Instead, they build credibility using hundreds of tiny truths. Real coworkers, real flights, real meetings. Enough genuine details to camouflage everything that isn't. People often believe they trust consistency, but in reality, they trust familiarity. And Nathan understands that better than anyone. Emma can't stop thinking about the message. The next morning, she asks casually, "Who's Jessica?" Nathan smiles. "A client." Nothing more. His answer is immediate. Not nervous, not defensive. Simply rehearsed. Days later, while cleaning the guest room, Emma hears a phone vibrating inside an old gym bag. She opens it. Inside is another phone, powered on, no password, thousands of messages, photos, restaurant reservations, holiday bookings, mortgage paperwork, another apartment, another bank account. Then the realization hits. Nathan isn't pretending to be single. He's pretending to be someone else, a different surname, a different employer, even a different birthday. Then Emma stops at one photograph. Nathan, Jessica, and a little girl holding birthday balloons. Written on the back, "To the best daddy in the world." Everything changes. Psychologists call this compartmentalization. The human mind can separate conflicting identities into completely different psychological rooms. To everyone watching from the outside, it feels impossible. But inside the deceiver's mind, both identities can feel equally real. That's what makes this kind of manipulation so dangerous. Eventually, the lie no longer feels like a lie. It becomes another version of reality. Emma wants to scream. Instead, she buys a notebook. Every evening, she quietly copies messages, dates, receipts, locations, photographs. She downloads financial records, searches property ownership, checks company registrations. Then, she hires a private investigator. Not because she doubts what she's found, but because evidence is always stronger than certainty. Meanwhile, Nathan notices nothing. He keeps inventing imaginary meetings, imaginary clients, imaginary hotel stays. Without realizing, Emma already knows exactly where he sleeps every night. Most manipulators spend years preparing for confrontation. They rehearse excuses, gaslighting, emotional guilt, victimhood, but they rarely prepare for silence, because silence gives them nothing to manipulate. No emotional reaction, no clues, no opportunity to rewrite the story. Sometimes doing nothing becomes the strongest move you can make. Emma doesn't file for divorce. She files for financial disclosure. Nathan signs every document with complete confidence. He believes she's discovered an affair. He never imagines she's discovered an entirely different identity. Then, Everything begins collapsing. The hidden apartment, undeclared income, false tax records, insurance fraud, loans under different names. Every lie requires another document. Every document creates another witness. Every witness creates another crack. Eventually, the entire second life collapses under its own weight. Jessica learns about Emma. Emma meets Jessica. Neither woman ever knew the other existed. Neither woman was the enemy. The deception always came from one person, Nathan. The greatest deception isn't convincing one person. It's convincing different people to believe completely different versions of you. Eventually, those realities collide. Truth rarely explodes all at once. It accumulates, piece by piece, fact by fact, until denying it becomes mathematically impossible. Emma sells the house, recovers much of the hidden money through court, and begins rebuilding her life. Jessica does the same. Years later, the two women remain friends, not because betrayal creates friendship, but because they eventually realize something important. Neither of them failed. They simply trusted someone who had spent years manufacturing an illusion. Nathan loses both families, not because of one mistake, but because every lie depends on every previous lie surviving forever. And eventually, none of them do. Emma's story teaches us three powerful lessons. First, the biggest lies are rarely emotional. They're logistical: money, time, documents, patterns. Second, when someone becomes angry because you ask reasonable questions, pay attention. Honest people explain. Manipulators attack the question itself. And finally, Wayne, the first clue is almost never dramatic. It's usually something tiny, a small inconsistency, a strange pattern, a single unread message, often ignored because trust feels more comfortable than doubt. Sometimes, one text message contains an entire hidden life. If this story changed the way you think about deception, then you've come to the right place. Here at Dark Motives 101, we don't just tell stories. We uncover the psychology behind betrayal, manipulation, power, and human behavior. Subscribe and join us next time as we investigate another case that reveals the hidden machinery of the human mind.